The trajectory actually is just a direct path from the south coast, even though it's a long distance there, given like how close to the standard Westmoreland was, and the fact that there was not much lingering of the trajectory. It was pretty much just directly to Westmoreland. We characterize this as overwhelming transport from the south coast. And definitely the emission and pollutants from the south coast would be sufficient to cause this violation. Okay, now this is an interesting case. I told you that generally the trajectories are fairly consistent for the 8-hour period. But this is an example of one where there was really a mixed contribution. And what our weather data showed was that during the morning and afternoon, the winds were coming from the north down, traveling south towards Imperial County. And in the evening of the day prior as well as the day of the violation, they were coming up from Mexico from a southwest direction. And it's really pretty much shown in the trajectory. During the first part of the 8-hour period, you really see the trajectory coming down from the south coast, or at least from Palm Springs through the Coachella Valley. And then in the later part of the 8-hour period, you see the influence from Mexicali. The reason this is characterized as shared is that, I don't know if you can see on the right trajectory, it kind of loops around the arrow, it goes down, and it did spend a number of hours in Imperial County. And so because of that, we characterize this as a shared day. Although the photochemical modeling will probably be able to provide some more insight on that, but there was numerous hours where it was kind of stagnant within Imperial County. And then this is our final kind of example, in which we've seen numerous examples of this. It's pretty much the winds are coming from the west through the east, and the trajectory definitely shows the path from the west. During this case, ozone concentrations were elevated throughout most of the border area, as well as El Centro and Westmoreland. So pretty much the whole area had high ozone. And then the weather data at Imperial site showed that the prevailing winds were about 1 to 5 miles an hour, and were moving from the west to the east. And it's pretty much kind of confirmed by that trajectory.
Gail, on that one, historically in San Diego County, Alpine has the highest readings of
Yes.
ozone, correct? So when it's pushed up by the coastal area, where Dr. Ryan was going with, maybe it's the truck traffic coming through I-8, but there's already an enormous amount of pollutants already trapped up against the mountain in Alpine already. So any surge of westerly winds does push it over the hill.
Yeah, at first we were surprised at the number of examples of this we saw. We were expecting to see more from the south, But it definitely seems realistic given the penetration of the sea breeze into the interior. For this point in time, we characterize this as shared, but definitely this is the type of episode that we definitely want to model in our photochemical model to get a better understanding of. And here is kind of a summary table of all our results. You'll see a category in there that I didn't really discuss a lot at all, called overwhelming/share Mexico. We think the data more leans towards overwhelming classification, but until we have some modeling data, we've kind of separated it out. There's no Calexico days in that category. It's basically 5 violations for El Centro. And as you see, there's quite a number of ones, and they're pretty much spread through a variety of directions and classifications. So it is very complex what's going on here in Imperial County.
So where would you get any transfer from the east, from Yuma or something?
We haven't seen any indication from the winds or the trajectory. I'd like to give a few of the limitations of our method. And one of the strengths of our method is that we can look at all the days because we use available data. Ozone's measured every day. A lot of sites have weather data every day. But it doesn't really capture what's going on in the upper atmosphere. We have very limited data available. And it's difficult to capture the large difference in emissions between Mexico and Imperial County in our analysis. And one thing that the modeling analysis does, it actually constructs an inventory and it grids it by different regions of the modeling area, like it'll break out Imperial County and break out Mexicali. So the modeling will really be able to give a better understanding of how the emissions from Mexico as well as South Coast are impacting Imperial County ozone. There's some uncertainty related to transport from the west. It's kind of like who's responsible. Is it San Diego County emissions?
Could be LA.
Yeah.
LA still
yeah.
transport down to San Diego and then come back over.
So we can't really label the source region on that without some modeling evaluation. And the next steps are to model 3 different ozone episodes. And what we did is we ensured that the episodes that have been identified and ARB staff are working on really capture all of the different types of transport scenarios. So combined with our data analysis and the modeling, I think in the end we'll have a really much better understanding and a more quantitative. And the final conclusion will integrate the results from what we have done as well as the photochemical modeling. And they'll be summarized in the ozone attainment plan. And that's my contact information. And I'm sorry if I took up too much time.
No, thank you. Very informative, and I think for all of us guys that have air backgrounds, we understand a little bit more, but the folks that don't deal with air quality, and this is not a simplistic thing to do. And I think it opens the some individuals' eyes as to what really goes into trying to pinpoint where the emissions come from and how they impact a certain area. So I appreciate you coming out here and giving this presentation to us.
If people have questions, be glad to answer them, or you can contact me. Sacramento.
People in the phone, is there any questions?
No questions. Good job, Gil. Okay.
And our chapter 3 of our ozone plan, that's where you're gonna be able to find a summary of all the complete analysis that Gail and CJ put together for us, And then you also gonna have a chance, to have a copy of all these graphs and all those maps that they put together for us as an attachment to our SIP. And then so you're welcome to give us comments, when you guys have a chance to review chapter 3. Currently, we're working on summarizing all this information, and then hopefully the end of this week or next week, we're gonna give it to Gail, and so she can review it and comment on that, and then we will be able to release that for comments to our working group. Okay?
Any other questions? Comments? Okay. Have you determined what the next meeting date is going to be? I know a lot of us are going to have a conflict with the last Wednesday